It's Tuesday, May 2nd. This is an end of the day SPY recap, and today we end up with a 2-down day. Red bar that kind of reached its target, reached a fair value gap, and then had a little bit of a pause. So, it's still a red day to the downside. Right now, we have 2 days of the week that's down. As long as we stay below the yellow line, we'll continue to be biased a little bit to the downside, but it's kind of at a key inflection point as I've been discussing. Number one, on the weekly chart, we talked about how, this hammer bar certainly has targets up to the 418 area, maybe the 430 area, as long as we kind of hold the midpoint of that buying tail, and that's what we've done today. But it's also possible that we could kind of go below that and then look for an outside week to the downside, and maybe even an outside month. We had that green bar. We did take out the high of that month. We're kind of coming back to, it's a small month. We're coming back to the halfway point. So it is possible, after the first day of May that we fail and we continue much lower. So it's kind of at a key moment, halfway point of the weekly and monthly chart, and yet on the daily chart we're finding a little support, and if we can start at the midpoint of this bar and up tomorrow, or somehow fail to continue lower and maybe on the next day start up. A 2-up day is the actionable signal for tomorrow, so we kind of know that, and we'll just have to see where the pre-market range is. So again, it's trying to find support where it should, but it's either going to fail and head much lower, or it's going to hold this area, maybe start above these daily highs and set up some nice buy signals for a weekly move back to the upside and turn green and reach some of these bigger picture monthly targets that we've been talking about, kind of up here and over here. So anyway, we will now kind of watch what happens tomorrow. In terms of today, the only option, I shot a video earlier how I bought some SPY puts here just to play the pullback. It became a lot bigger than you might have anticipated, but that's what price action does. I shot a video here showing this was a key area, and once you kind of had that orderly pullback that really couldn't make a second push down, you kind of knew at that point that probably wasn't going to happen, and this little pullback here was a very short-term buy opportunity. It's not really a buy, but I mean, once you sort of pull back and then have the 2 down 2 up bar here, it was high probability you were going to make at least another swing higher in the day, and then we kind of closed in the middle of the range. So this down here is all support until taken out, but until we get above the midpoint of this day and really get a 2-up day and get above the yellow line, we're not going to get too excited on the long side either. So let's just see what happens as the week closes out. But today it was a really good opportunity. And again, that's why I talk about in my methodology, I'm just looking for that morning trade. And that's, why in many cases, that's what you really get. And then everything else in the afternoon is tricky. If there would have been just an orderly pullback and maybe a red bar here, you could have anticipated another test of those lows, but it never really developed. So it was just a great morning trade. And if you look at my playlist and the way, I kind of like to trade, that's really all I'm looking for. So anyway, it offered that pretty clearly. You were expecting that given the shooter bar from yesterday, and now we're at an inflection point, either up or down. We'll see what happens tomorrow.